feel like
Interesting. So
that's
apparently,
how he do his.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I gave people warning. I gave people warning, but they didn't listen. They're still talking. Anyway, hey guys, everybody, it's Pseudo, and I am joined by Screenager, who has multiple headphones on.
Oh, if he has a beard, I'm allowed to have ultimate headphones.
Right. Okay, so he's got ultimate headphones on, and we're also joined by he who has the awesome beard leader, Viking Nation man, healthy gamer, and all that stuff. Blank space.
What's going on, folks? Welcome to the show.
It definitely seems to have gone wrong already. Are you just gonna stroke your beard the entire episode?
Listen,
Maybe it's an ominous thing.
I'm putting on some beard balm.
Oh dear.
Beastly beard balm. The BBB. Wow.
It's better than having to double. Never mind.
Anyway, hello everybody. It is September 30th here. It's a Tuesday, which means it's Campfire. And yes, it's also my birthday.
Oh, is it really?
It is.
What?
It's my birthday. I love how I
Happy
get nothing.
birthday, Josie! I'm raising my chalice for
I get
you.
a chalice right.
You get nothing off me. Nothing, damn it. Well, that's because you didn't. That's because you
didn't
warn me.
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josie. Happy birthday to you.
Quick bite.
And many more.
Quick bite. Anyway.
Yeah, happy birthday, Pseudo. I am not singing. That's what you're getting off of me. You're getting silence, because frankly...
Well, we wish we could have more silence, so, I mean, that's...
But it's such a precious thing. I wouldn't want to waste it.
Ooh, wow. Okay, well, anyway, welcome to the Campfire.
I found a random code. Nice.
Is that a llama?
It's another llama. I don't know if this one works, though, or not. It's been just lying about my desk. I don't know. I'll put it to one side, and we'll see about that later.
Excellent. But anyway, welcome to the Campfire. As you can see, we are guestless today, and that is because we needed to kind of recover from EGX. You know,
we needed to. I'm not quite done yet.
No, you still have flu. I've got this like tickle in the back of my throat I got my glands swollen, and I'm sitting there going, no, I will defeat flu the way you do characters in Game of Thrones. That's my goal. My goal is
with a big pointy stick.
Nah, just absolutely kill them off as soon as you can. Ha ha ha.
You guys, you haven't heard of the blank space save yourself a con setup? You bring vitamins, juice, tea, and if you're not drinking alcoholic beverages, you're drinking these things. Hand wash, you wash your hand every single moment and sanitize in between.
Yep, still did that. I didn't touch alcohol once the entire time I was away.
That might have been it. You might have needed some alcohol to kill off some of the
I'm on so many medications for my back right now. Not happening. I ain't touching that.
I did the exact opposite. I hugged all the sweaty nerds. I licked a couple of people. I went to the Twitch party. That got all sorts of.
That was naughty.
You're not supposed to tell people about the licking. That goes under the what happens at convention stays at convention stays.
That's a different story. That's a different sort of chicken licking.
I don't even know what to say at this current moment in time.
I just took KFC, that's all.
To KFC, right. Well, anyway, so what we're going to be talking about today is obviously bringing the community. Several things occurred to, at least, Ed and I, and Blank brought up a really good point when we were talking about this pre-show. It's a bit about how communities are changing over the years. We've done shows about evolution of communities, etc., but what about the communities that exist that are not guilds, that are not clans, that are more specifically revolving around games? So, for example, let's say that you're a massive fan of Wolfenstein, to use an example that Blank was pointing out to us earlier, and, you played Wolfenstein back in the day, and you stopped gaming because life occurred and life happened, and now we know that Wolfenstein is coming back. And you're like, wow, if they're going to revamp that, I'm totally going to be a part of that. But that brings you into a community that you may not know what is exactly going to occur or happen, because the truth is gaming has changed over the years. And this is something we're kind of noticing with a lot of things, like for example Gauntlet, which was a game that we played last night on the Perspective. And we're noticing with more and more retro games being brought back or repurposed or reinvented or a whole bunch of other things. And it's just like, well, we sort of should tackle this, because communities don't just always have a guild leader. Sometimes they just have a forum moderator, if you know what I mean.
Somebody's at my door. I'll be right back. I have no idea who it is.
Go and moderate that door.
Now what we all need to do is be very cautious and very careful, because, Blank unfortunately hurt his back. And I want him to take his time, but listen closely, because if he screams, we need to call the police. Hopefully everything will be okay. But yes, so what we're going to be talking about in today's... Oh God, no one better have swatted him. I will be pissed. I will be furious. I will come after people, man. Don't screw with him. Not today. Not with, all that stuff that's going on there. But anyway, so yes, what we're going to be talking about is a bit about like how the retro games are starting to bring non-traditional players back into gaming, along with what it's like if you are someone who's new stepping into a community that you've kind of are being forced into, because most things are multiplayer now. So, and ooh,
What?
he got something. It was a red bowl. At least we know he's
A red
safe.
bowl.
It was a red bowl.
Well, that's unless he's a red bowl of death, in which case then he's not. I mean, that's like saying a fridge is safe. And anyone that's seen Ghostbusters knows fridges aren't safe.
No, fridges are not safe. So what did you get, Blank? I have to know. It happened live on air, so share it. Hello, Mel.
The new girlfriend brought over some soup for me because she made some last night and had some leftovers. So she brought some borscht over for me.
Some borscht.
Borscht.
Which is basically beet soup, but it's super healthy gamer, so.
Super healthy gamer. Awesome. Okay. So, excellent. Yeah, so as I was saying, we're talking about sort of the non-traditional gamers coming back in. We are going to be talking about how different it's going to feel, and we're also going to be looking to make Blank smile even more. I'm surprised. Is he turning red? Is Blank blushing?
It's probably just to match the bowl.
Look at that!
He just wants to be color coordinated.
He matches the borscht. So he is beet red. Are you blushing?
What is happening behind the camera?
It's I don't know. It's
we'll find out, everyone.
What I will say is it is good things in my real life. So it's wicked cool that she decided to stop by randomly to bring me some food, because she knows that I said it was like really cool, healthy gamer. So,
see, this is something you should all learn while streaming on Twitch. Turn off your phones, shut down all your other windows on your computer, leave a sign on the door. Go away.
Leave a sign on the door.
Yep. Go away unless you have soup.
Go away unless you have soup. Wow. Okay. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. But anyway, yes. So let's go back to talking about communities. Now, this is, like I said, it stemmed off of retro gaming and things like that. So who wants to take their first dive into this crazy topic of being a part of a community without realizing you're a part of one?
Well, I'd like to kind of talk about a side topic.
Okay.
Is there are folks who play what a lot of us who are hobbyists, whether we play hardcore casually with our time, that play forum games, that play Facebook games, that play the microtransaction games that developers love to get into. You know, if they can nickel and dime you with $1 for 500 gems and do this on a micro scale to 1 million people, it adds up quick.
Are you listening to this, developers? I'm only saying that because we have a couple of developers in chat right now.
What I will say is that interesting because their communities develop and behave very differently. Their communities are more based on how to succeed purely. Like, oh, this new content opened up in Mafia Wars, let's say on Facebook, and this is how you use your points to do this, to do that. People group up in some of those that allow co-op sort of things to happen. I've actually even seen huge communities where that's all they do, is they invite each other and they do each other's stuff. But it's distance. Like, you're adding these people to a specific group, let's say on your Facebook, that can't see your personal post, they can't see any of your sort of stuff. You know, when you're in a guild, I feel like it's different. You get in TeamSpeak, you post on forums, you might even add them on your social media. They get to see all your pictures and stuff like that. There seems to be a little bit distance, something there. For these communities.
See, you bring up something interesting. I once, a couple of years ago, I did a search, because every once in a while you have to search yourself on Google, right? I mean, come on. Who doesn't type their name in occasionally in Google and see what comes up and see if you're your first person or someone else who has the same name as you as top on the Google list? But anyway, I did a search for myself, and I found my name on a post for Mafia Wars that said, if you have Josie as a friend on Facebook, she will auto-decline your Mafia Wars invites. So don't contact her, she won't do it. Now, I was on a list with like 600 other people, and it's probably grown over time. But the fact that there are community posts being made of don't invite this person or don't contact this person or anything else like that is just mind-blowing to me. Because let's just say, for example, that I didn't want anybody to know who I was. You know, let's just say that. Obviously, I really shouldn't be on the internet, whatever. But, you know, let's just say that my Facebook is 100% private. Let's just say that everything I do is 100% private. And yet someone is out there posting about me in their community because I basically tell people who try to send me invites through Facebook, bugger off, because I want none of it. And that just struck me as really, really terrifying. So you're right. There's like these random community things being done. And if permissions are not set up right, you're kind of screwed.
I really don't know how to broach that, because we're talking about the retro stuff, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I got sidetracked because because of what you were
It's-
saying about the Facebook and the communities and the way you add people.
It's transitive, though. Like, they are kind of the same. I still have friends who play forum games. I'm not going to mention their website, but it's a very large community of 3,000 to 5,000 people. And then part of the people that are there to play computer games or whatever, they've just started branching out into mobile handheld stuff. But there is maybe 500 folks that literally play nothing but the forum games that are there. Now, it makes me wonder if there is a difference. I guess we're really kind of talking about what it is to be a gamer. Where do we distinguish somebody who plays Pac-Man at an arcade? We consider them in 2014 a gamer, whereas in 1990 they would be lumped into the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, going to a website to read up about cheats for Wolfenstein obviously made you a gamer back then. Nowadays, somebody playing Facebook games to me is not almost what I would put in the criteria of a gamer, because it's something that is, and I'm getting there, they are playing video games or they're playing I'm struggling with this. They're playing something that I feel is just there to waste time. It is not the rest of the stuff that comes with it. There may be goals, but in the end, is it really the same? I'm struggling with this. What do you guys think? Like, because I look at online games and group activity and community stuff very differently than something like I said, like Pac-Man in an arcade or Facebook.
So what we think about when we term gaming and community, we tend to think of online connectivity when we have been in the Campfire, right? If we talk about gaming, It's from my point of view, it's relatively restrictive to put delimiters on gaming and frame it as it'll have to be online, or it has to be have progression, or essentially gaming. I think I'm gonna steal something from Total Biscuit, but it's a very good generalism. Um, having having a reason or a point of failure kind of is a consistent point within a game. If you can find a point at which you can fail, then you generally tend to find it's a game. And if you're playing something that has a point of failure, then generally you can consider yourself a gamer. Whether a particular subset of gamers approach things a particular way or build communities a different way, it's a whole other thing. And that, in some respects, reflects back onto things like gamers who have been away from the gaming scene, who are maybe a bit older than some of the younger gamers that are about now, who have maybe played things like Elite or even Pac-Man or Tetris, or games like that, are games that are coming back now. I'm going to use Gauntlet because it's the same sort of idea. Games that have been around, they've been part of a community that's had connectivity through things like forums, but they've engaged in the same experience of playing the game. Whether they've had a chance to play it together, they've still built a community around that game through different mediums, whether it be through forums, whether it be through writing into PC Format magazine or Commodore 64 format, things like that. They've still built that community, whether it be in real life or via online connectivity. We just use online connectivity for that medium now. So to say you're a gamer is, to say you're engaged in some sort of video game format that has a failure mechanism in it, I'd say.
See, you bring up the point brings up something that I know from the retro game community as a whole. I mean, you guys know about simulators, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, there are so many people who, at least I know, who purposely run emulators and simulators on their systems so that they can play the old school retro games. And they still have communities that they get involved in. Hell, there's even Reddit places or /r's that you can go to and discuss these really, really, really old games. I mean, these are people who, I hate to say it, but they're definitely not the previous generation, if you know what I mean. These are people who have been around for a while. They're not this upcoming generation of people who are used to hiding behind a name and trolling people because that's what they think is the right thing to do. It's a completely different kind of community, which does bring up the fact that, when you have, let's say, an emulator community that is so used to being behind Wolfenstein or Gauntlet, because, Gauntlet was massive, even though it had multiple iterations, there you go. But, you then bring them into the new revised community that's all about Wolfenstein, the new game, which brings that, I mean, you can even take this back to almost MMO perspective, because I can see this correlation happening. You've got I did raids back when they were hard. I did PvP back when they didn't have all the right gear ratings. And now you have people who are just coming in, hey, it's my first week playing. Psh, you don't know shit, man. You have no clue how to play. Back in my day, I walked up the hill both ways through the snow while it was raining. It was incredibly foggy, and there was a solar eclipse going on. I mean, we're kind of going to see that kind of correlation on both sides. Would you agree?
I think to some extent, yeah. I think more so I think more so is a direct correlation with things like we've been saying about game, not just about wider communities, but you see it that sort of correlation a lot more drastically in things like, say, EverQuest, for example, or Camelot Unchained. The games that have had an established community that people may have played, gone away from, and come back to as new games have come out, and you've got a clash of communities there to some extent. You've got new players that are picking it up for the first time, older players that have either been away from the game or been away from gaming and come back, and there's a distinct point at which these two communities are very separate, and do they come together or do they butt heads? And that's kind of what we've been looking at.
That was painful.
That's what happens. We just had it happen for with ArcAge with queues. People were like, "Ah, man, these queues suck." Blah blah blah, and I let it go on Twitter for a bit until I was like, you know what? I'm like, and I was that old gamer guy. I was like, seriously, Burning Crusade came out. The Burning Crusade came out. Literally, you weren't waiting you were waiting like 30 seconds to hit something. You were spamming buttons just hoping they worked. And if you were fast enough and lucky enough to be one of those people that didn't get DC'd, you got ahead of everybody, and then you were afraid to sleep because you knew everybody was going to catch up to you in the next zone. And this went on for ever. And I remember saying like, dude, it's a part of launches. What are you people crying about? Nowadays there's ways around it. You can get TeamViewer. I logged in from the toilet on my phone. This was not a thing.
Did you purposely wait for the toilet just so you could have that anecdote one day? I might have done that.
You know, but this is the thing. I mean, I see exactly where you're coming from, though I can also understand the frustration that the people of ArcAge are having because there's player claim territory. So being able to get to certain places in a certain period of time kind of has some kind of effect. But
I'm going to throw this out. Listen,
okay, go ahead. Do your thing.
I've got one for that. The only people that complained were folks who didn't plan to succeed. I know plenty of organizations and people, and even people who aren't in organizations who just played themselves, get to places, they did their homework. This was not a thing back in the day. You weren't able to learn about crap. There wasn't a pre-purchase alpha shiz. It was just run in, mother trucker, just try to get ahead of everyone else. You are number one, 10 of 1,000 bros and chicas running around trying to do quests. Nowadays, you can play. I don't accept that people that don't plan to succeed, you're going to fail. I don't want to hear the complaining. That's it. If you didn't get in and you didn't do your stuff and you didn't whatever, that's on you. And that really is how I feel that. And I am playing the old man gamer. I'm 31 years old, and just recently have I started being like, "Well, back in my day, you little whiny shit. Let me tell you, let me tell you about the real hard times."
Stick in the stone.
Wow. Yeah, so that's taking it a little bit back old school to the old school gamers.
But that's a fair enough. That in itself is a fair enough reflection of the difference attitude between older, more experienced gamers and newer gamers. You got people coming into ArcAge for the first time that have never played it before. It is a very traditional MMO, for want of putting it any different sort of way. You've not got, for example, a low barrier of entry. You don't have ways to avoid the grinds. You don't have different paths that you can go through that other MMOs give you. It's pretty much as straightforward. You will grind out these levels, and then good luck to you. And for more experienced gamers, that's not a problem. But it can be somewhat frustrating when you've got a newer gamer coming in who's themselves becoming frustrated and venting off because they don't understand quite what's going on, because they've been given a whole different set of expectations from modern games.
It kind of makes me wonder, when you start having these multiple, I say, we're going to call them gaming generation gaps. This could be anything from I played Diablo 1 to I played Diablo 2 to I played Diablo 3 type of things. Or it could be as massive as these retro game rethings coming in. But anyway, when it comes to this generation gapping that happens in gaming, if you have a community that has got frustrated players who are older because the game isn't matching what they want it to be, you have new people coming in who may have a slight frustration because they're sick and tired of hearing that, and to quote Kaisera, back in my day, when we have that kind of community going on, is that the responsibility of the community or the community moderators or the game developers to get involved? I mean,
no.
I'm just throwing this out there because I'm sure someone somewhere is going to go, well, the moderator should be handling this stuff, or, the game developers should have prepared for this. people say it. I'm just throwing it out there. You know how we feel about it, so I'll let someone else say, oh, I love mods. I used to play them all the time.
I think there are a number of things that tend to happen. I think a lot of the things that tend to happen will always end up with particular sets of people, and wider and broader strokes, finding subsections of the community that fit their view in life. You've got, for example, right now, you've got a number of communities, but one of the biggest, or certainly one of the biggest communities on the internet, let's put it this way, is the Yogscast. Now, and they are, if you think of their viewership as a community, they're one of the biggest communities. Yeah. How did they start? They started streaming Warcraft because, as ye olde gamers, yeah, because they felt that they were not quite up there with the hardcore raiding nonsense. They were ye olde gamers, and okay, that's not where the community's quite gone, but my point is, communities will tend to fall and settle into groups that are similar or have similar views on the way that they want to approach things. So you've got communities like the older gamers, the TOG Guild as well, who are, again, they're a group set up that are expecting that people of an older persuasion, a higher numerical persuasion, there we go, are going to have certain expectations of games, and they've set out to fulfill that, and not to be as hardcore, probably a term that we might want to avoid most of the time, because there are certain restrictions on that. You've got other communities that are available for people that are going to tend to be younger, have more time, and maybe want to be more goal progressive. That doesn't mean that I'm labeling everyone that is young as wanting to be progressive hardcore raiders, and everyone that's old is not, but real life has realities, and reality is that as we get older, a number of things impact our ability to game as much and as often as we want, and in general terms, as we get older, we're going to want a bit more flexibility, and we're not going to have the same expectations as we had when we were 16, 17, 18. So I think the communities tend to settle themselves a lot. I don't particularly think that we need to see moderators or game manufacturers get involved and go, right, all the oldies on the right here, all the young ones on the left.
Steal the bacon! Go! Resolve everything with the old school games. Do you guys remember Steal the Bacon?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I imagine it's bacon and you might steal it.
You have two teams, so you have the oldies and the old timers, the old gamers, whatever, and the new gamers, the people who are new, the young generation, whatever, who are just coming into a game. You then put usually like a rag in the center, and you put them both at equal distant lines.
Whoa! This is totally misrepresenting this game.
And then, you send someone into the center. Bacon. They try to steal it, and then they run. It's called Steal the Bacon. It's old school Steal the Bacon. It's just, but I could just totally see a developer doing
bacon
that.
Back in the day.
Yes,
they couldn't code
bacon. Didn't even exist back in my day. But it's still that kind of warring competitive thing. I would love to see a developer create, if they actually ended up with that sort of diversified, or the dichotomy between the old school gamers and the new school gamers. I'd love to see them just say, all right, put them together, find a representative, fight, go. I just love to see something like that, but that's me.
I just had like an interesting, we were talking about bring the community today thought. I was using my dad as a point of reference for this conversation. Mm-hmm. He used to play Wolfenstein. He worked 8, 10, hours a day. Would come home, have supper, drink a beer, and play what I would consider casually. He would play Wolfenstein, the old school one, or any of those games, and I think about, part of the topic that we've been talking about was what, my dad is no longer alive, but if he was, how would I get a call from him being like, a bunch of these kids invited me to some stupid website, it's got all the cheat codes on here, like, is this a thing? Because I haven't noticed it myself because my community circles are they're smaller. It's MMO, it's MOBA, it's, what's happening, what's coming up. It's people that are very informed on gaming and social media topics. It's not that demographic of the older gamer, 50, 60, 70, and they are out there because you do run into them in MOBAs, like, how do they experience this? Like, because I've only met a couple of them. In my old guild, we had a dude who was 90, who was my favorite. But it didn't matter who was leading. This guy started talking, everyone shut up because it just, Have you guys had experience with that?
I've not had direct experience with it. I've had experience with other guild leaders that have had experience with that. So all my experiences, to be honest, second hand. But I mean, to some extent, I don't know a lot of guild leads that have had people of that sort of age range that have not experienced gaming of some sort prior to it. I've never actually personally heard of someone, say over 50, 60 that's come into gaming for the first time. But that's certainly got to be a huge deal, because even as someone who's maybe middle-aged, or even in fact past your mid-20s, you start hitting these issues where you get things like nobody likes the stuff I like anymore. I keep dying because I get distracted by the cat or the door or the mobile phone. And you can't just. You actually find yourself getting offended. You go on Xbox Live for the first time in 5 years, and some 12-year-old shouting at you. You're just like, that is unnecessary, son. And you think, when did I start getting offended by this? When did I get offended for the rest of the female gaming audience when they're not even here? You should give in, but you can't bring yourself to put down the controller, or you don't have enough time either. You hit all these things once you start getting responsibility, like having a job or a cat, or someone who brings you soup. A cat, yeah.
Your whole credibility for this whole conversation just took a shit the minute you were like, so you get a job, you got kids, or a cat, or what? God, dude,
I think you and Safi at some point have to have a discussion about your discrediting of the importance.
I'm sorry,
of cats.
I gotta go. My cat just took a in the box. I gotta go take care of it. I can't do this. What?
Sorry, yeah.
That is the most minimal example of responsibility I've heard. I have more responsibility to go outside and get my mail every day. Are you kidding me?
It's almost like saying, have a kid, get married, have a goldfish.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on. What was that? What was that, sweetie? My goldfish. Just 1 second. What?
Yeah, important things here.
Oh goodness.
I mean, personally, there are some people who put the cat at the top of that list, but
I don't know what to say. His entire argument that he was saying has gone from my brain because of the concept of a goldfish, where someone's like, "I can't raid tonight, man. My goldfish is blowing bubbles." It's just.
Hey guys, sorry about I know we got the boss to 2%, but my cat came over. He had something to say to me, so I stopped paying attention to the raid. I stopped yelling at everybody. My bad. All right,
wow. Blank. You're trolling. She's bought into it, real style, and so is the chat.
Negative. No, I would never troll.
The chat are buying into your trolling.
What trolling?
For real.
We don't troll on this show. We do everything completely serious. There is absolutely no trolling, teasing, or joking on this show.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get a little less away from cats and their communities offline, and let's get back to people with their communities. But I want to talk a little bit about the offline stuff, because somebody in my chat just sent me a message. There are still, before being able to, and I'm talking like 1998, 1996, before even when I was playing games competitively and driving up and down the East Coast for LAN tournaments, there were gaming enthusiasts who got together on their forum boards and would have arcade-style get-togethers where they would have a competition. And I I really feel like that still counts as building a community. Like, I'm actually interested to see if that's still a thing. If there's still some guy with a mullet from the '80s who's running around playing, I don't know, some game that we would play an emulator on. He's playing it in his basement on the actual machine. I've never actually really thought about that. I think it's an intriguing, as a social scientist and somebody who does marketing and really looks at demographics. I wonder how many of those folks have translated into potential sales for games that are on potentially on Facebook and things like that, who used to play, games casually for fun, and then now they're on, the Facebook or a forum game. Like, there's still tons of these. Do you remember, some of you folks who may be a little younger may not remember, like in the 90s, there were Flash. You went to websites to play Flash games. One of my favorite games of all time was like a stick person, dude. You just run around and ninja chop everything. Like, there were super gross ones and funny ones and stories and RPGs, and you went to websites just to see these cool games.
Joe Cartoon.
There was no, there was no like centralized community other than to be there to play the games. There was no like forums to discuss your favorites. You could vote and stuff.
See, that's the thing. Newgrounds had a forum. It also had a chat as well. But, it was one of the first for Flash contributions and things like that. So, yeah, that takes
Apparently,
me back.
We're describing somebody's uncle. It's in my chat. He still plays Super Nintendo on the daily in his man cave shed in the backyard.
Man cave. Nice.
That's literally what it says. So,
Wow.
anyways, I definitely can find myself in the next week or two looking into that. And the other thing is, I used to, and this is where I may get embarrassed and actually blush just because of embarrassment, I used to hardcore play MUDs back in the day.
Why would you get embarrassed by this?
Yes.
I'm a hardcore
It's
MUD
like-
player too, man. I'm like from way back in the day. It was my first MMOs.
It was it was a whole story. It's a whole story for like Campfire.
Well,
Blank
what do you know?
space.
It's almost Campfire story time there, Blank, because you've got to go early, which means we might as well go into a bit of a story time, right, Screen?
Only
Sorry,
if...
I never played the computer with punch cards. Sorry.
Wow,
Only
now
if
that
it's
makes me
not a
feel
highlight.
old.
Listen, as long as this is not a highlight, I'm down with sharing the story. But
I
it's...
promise on the Campfire and all things flamey, I will not
To blank
use
stream
this.
start recording this shit.
Okay, so
I will not use this section for a highlight or for a quick bite.
back in the day, when I first started playing games online, it was Counter-Strike had come out. Before Counter-Strike, it was Half-Life. I played Half-Life. We had Doom and Duke Nukem, things like that. First online one on dial-up internet was Half-Life Deathmatch. I also, at the same time, got introduced to online MUDs, which, a lot of them were based on roleplay. Some of them were based on... There was a whole cluster. That was my first internet famous deal because I was famous in two different games. One of them had I want to say, pay-to-win model where you could pay for credits, and I was a ridiculous PvP god in that game. And then in another game, I spent a lot of time killing other people in PvP, and this is one of those games where if you died, you were dead. So people would lose characters they'd had for like years, and would lose their, like, if I find you in real life, I will like murder you, and everyone's like, ha 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 ha, I'm not telling you where I live. So that was my first competitive online stuff, was in MUDs, and also, like I said, Half-Life Deathmatch. And what I wonder is, because I know MUDs are still alive. I know that most of them are free to play now, and they have options to potentially subscribe for certain extra stuff. That's still a thing out there. What I wonder is if those people still play just MUDs, or if they've branched out. Because I know some of them they're just like the people who play cards. Like, they pretty much just only play cards, they only play Magic, or I wonder if it's that strong of a brand still, or of a draw.
I think one of the more difficult things is the fact that MUD communities and things like that, I don't necessarily think they've gone silent, but I definitely think they kind of become the minority and they don't get a very large voice because they don't feel the need to. And this actually take mud out and put in, anybody's particular game genre. There are certain game genres that get loud, proud recognition from press, that get loud, proud, or not so proud recognition from gamers. And these are things that you find in social media. And there's so many constant new pretty visual things coming out that the old school text-based stuff kind of gets left behind. Or they don't feel the need to brag. Maybe they don't feel the need to wag their e-peen around, who knows? But it would be interesting to find out if there are people who literally only play MUDs. But I think it would be really difficult to find them because you'd have to know what those old school BBS boards were and find them. Although, if you want that task, I'll be happy to give it to you. I'd love to find people who do nothing but MUD. I would be all over that.
I almost streamed one of the ones that I used to be famous in. I talked to the developers a little bit, but it would have been a smaller thing because a lot of the draw for those sort of things was the interaction you had with other people, and if you're streaming it and then other people sign up and then chase you and then kill you, it would just not be that much fun. I could see somebody being that angry of a person to come and troll and to try to kill you on stream, but I think that would be the fun part of it. I don't know. Anyways, it's what's really around my mind that I'm enjoying is I consider myself like I said, an older gamer because I'm 31 and I've got to see the spectrum. Literally from we're not old school, but I'm like a little baby gamer. I'm like a teenager of gaming, if you will. I'm not young like these new kids that come in and they're like, oh my god, screaming on their microphones playing Xbox or something.
Ma, chocolate milk! Ma!
Yeah, I know.
Ma, chocolate milk!
But I'm not
Hey, I need my chocolate milk.
I'm
Fuck
not
you.
that other end of the spectrum either. I think that's really what we're talking about is because they are out there, those folks that played MUDs, who played arcade, who played very early computer games, and bringing them into our community and how to do that because their perspective is so different. Everything was point of entertainment and then done. So the internet, what? Anyways,
They just mean in general the internet is done. That's it. The internet is over.
Oh man. So Screen, you've been quiet for a little bit. What would you like to throw in for this? Besides that funky little dance.
Than either of you. If that's what I'm throwing in here. The chat is far more entertaining than you two furry daddies.
Listen,
the chat rocks.
That's it.
And you'd be hating on chocolate milk. Yep. The chat is awesome.
I'm not hating on chocolate milk. I love chocolate milk.
You totally. You two. Nope. You're hating on the chocolate milk. It's fine.
Wow.
Hey, I've been talking to the chat about you two being on MUDs. I frankly, I'm not a mudder. So to be absolutely honest,
that's just it. If you take MUD out of that sentence and you replace it with any other genre, it can apply. Yep. But do you even know what we said, or were you too busy dancing?
I might have been too busy dancing. And
can't multitask.
Yep, pretty much. I tried to do too many things at once. As it stands, though, although it's interesting that these communities to some extent may or may not still exist, it doesn't really tackle the fundamental question about how. I mean, how does it tackle the fundamental question about how these communities are going to interact with people either coming into them or playing these?
He made mention of that with people coming in with the intent to do nothing but cause harm, or did you miss that part?
But that's no. I didn't miss that part so much as. But people approaching this game are not necessarily. So let's take MUDs for example. Is everyone approaching a MUD going to be coming in to cause harm? If they've not played it for the first time?
No.
Is it all about protecting these communities from new players? Or is it all about integrating new players in to these communities?
You're asking the wrong question. The question we were talking about was older, whether it's arcade, we'll call it first gen, friggin' Windows 98, DOS, whatever, gamers who grew up as the computer and internet grew up, where are they ending up and landing? Because I've only met a couple of them who are older, who have different experiences, and they play very differently. And that's the topic at hand. Like whether they played MUDs, whether they played friggin' Duke Nukem, it doesn't matter. They accessed the internet and did things differently. So as a community leader right now, let's say I have somebody who comes up and says, hey man, I'm like 55, I'm almost retired, I work every day, I don't do all this stuff, teach me. I've only had it happen a couple times, and what I'm really talking about, or the conversation I'm trying to have here, is about, are they out there? Are they just primarily focused in one place, like on Facebook games or forum games, or have they just faded out totally? They played the games that they wanted to, the way they wanted to, and as games changed, they just walked away. Is that something that we could discuss at a social level? Because where did they go? Where are they? And I'm sure there might be a couple of communities out there, but I mean, that was really the conversation. How did we interact with them? How many have you seen? I mean, you said, Screen, you haven't seen any. I've only had a couple of experiences, so I'm wondering what happened. Where did they go? And how do you bring the community, to folks who may show up and be like, hey, I played Wolfenstein, man. I saw your YouTube video. I made a Twitter. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know how to turn the notifications off on my phone, but I like your YouTube stuff. This happens. I'm wondering about the phenomenon of where are they? Where did they go? What happened? And if you happen to catch one, kind of like a unicorn, how do you keep it? Hey, man, come on in. Come to the forums. Come to TeamSpeak. What the F is TeamSpeak? Had to walk through this with some guy who was like, I don't want this thing making noise on my phone. I'm like, it won't unless you open it up and connect. He was like, oh, okay. So that's really what where I've been talking about.
Do you want to respond to that, Screen?
Fair enough. Well, let's look at it this way. It's fairly realistic. People grow up. People move on. So you've said that mods still exist. You find that games close, but you find that online games close down. Things move on. People maybe want a particular experience. These things happen. We can't necessarily, unless we are them, we can't necessarily say that we know firsthand where they've gone.
Well, I'm just going to point out Robots hates me in chat, who at this current moment in time, I kind of picture him behind the screen with his arms going, pick me, oh my God, pick me. Because right there, blank, is someone you're looking for. Right there is that old school gamer that you can ask questions about.
There's a question in itself. If someone doesn't come up to you and say, I am that old school gamer, are you necessarily going to know if they don't come up to you and have that badge on?
The technological information difference is astounding. Where kids nowadays know what TeamSpeak, voice over IP, Skype, stuff like this. Getting my 95-year-old grandmother to get on Skype and to understand it as a concept literally took us a month for her to understand how it works, that it wasn't always on, that she didn't have to cover it because she thought everyone could always see into her house. Like, it's a thing generationally. Anyways, I hate to do this, folks, but I do have to get going. The two things I want to leave you with is this. There's a lot of folks out there. The world is large. I mean, if you look at the numbers of people that are gamers, mobile, Facebook, online, MMO, RPG, doesn't matter. Play a game for entertainment, no matter where it is or what it is. Why do we have such a generation gap right now? Why is there where did they go? And the second question is, when you find somebody who is perhaps in that gap or beyond it, how do you keep them around? How do you explain this stuff to them? Because I've been through that struggle. I hope, oh man, I literally hope somebody walks into Ed's camp and is like, I'm 60. Rah. I hope they're Scottish too. It'll be even better. And how what tools do you have to help them? Because it's very difficult and can be challenging. So it's something I wanted to leave you guys with before I go. And thanks for being here on the show. And I'm sure you guys will have another great couple of minutes of conversation.
Bye, Blanky.
See you, Dave.
He is so cute. But yes, you know, the thing that stands out to me, at least with what he is saying, and I kind of see where his point is, because, you know, I have had a couple of people. I remember back when I ran my massive guild in WoW, when we were doing progression rating for the Burning Crusade, we had somebody's uncle join, and they were, I think, about 65, and it was the first game they ever played, but they just wanted to play with their nephew. So, you know, it was just, it was sort of like a family thing. And an awful lot of time and attention was forcefully directed towards helping this person understand what WASDA was. You know, helping this person understand what a mouse could do for you. You know, it was not quite so intuitive for them. I mean, their application was filled out by their nephew at their house because they didn't understand how to actually set up an account on a forum. They weren't, however, in any way, shape, or form, quote unquote, that old generation. They were somebody new coming into gaming, just trying to embrace what it's like to be with the family. Now, you know, I know somebody who is a very, very old school fan of, you know, a particular book thing. And when I say book thing, I basically mean like Lord of the Rings. I mean, like they read Lord of the Rings like 3 times a year, the entire series. I mean, they're obsessed with it. And now we have games coming out that really tackle, because of either, you know, the media, movies, etc., or, you know, we've got Shadows of Mordor coming out, Fallen Earth, which is all about Lord of the Rings, etc. And this piqued the interest of a player. And they're like, well, this is a game. It'll be interesting. Maybe I should look into it. But they don't even realize that there's a community involved at all. They don't understand that there are people already trolling the game before it's come out. They don't understand that there are people who are going to want to... I mean, the thing that stood out for me the most about some of the things that Blank were pointing out was like the cheat codes. In today's day and age, if you try to cheat in certain games, you get banned. And yet back in the old school days, it was common practice to find cheat codes. I mean, up, down, left, right, A, B, start, select, and select, start. You know, there's all those cheat codes. And yet that's not a part of it today. In today's day and age, you get banned for that kind of stuff unless it's built directly into the game, like, say, GTA or The Sims or something. You know? I don't know. I kind of worry that what ends up happening is it relies on the people who have been there, who have been a part of gaming or communities, to take the time and actually have patience to teach people. And I think that is where it really comes down to. Either have the patience to go through the trolls, or have the patience to teach the people who are coming in so that they don't get affected by the trolls. But people still feed trolls. I don't know. It's kind of a weird one.
I don't really understand the concept that you're bringing up about taking the time to feed the trolls. Any decent,
that was
any decent.
That was just a byproduct.
No, feel free to go ahead. It's fine. Go on.
No. That was a byproduct of what I was saying. But go ahead.
Cool. Anyway, right. I think what we can take from today, because I think to be honest, we've covered a few things as it is. I think we've clearly defined that this is a potential issue that communities have to address, and they do have to address that. There's going to be different types of gamer, be they old or be they new, especially in certain situations. If you're going into a game that is a throwback, for example, then you're going to find that you're going to be going into a game where you are potentially going to get a larger percentage of an older audience playing with you, and you've to really define whether you want, if you're building a community, if you want to embrace that, or whether you want to be particular about the parts of the community that you want to embrace, and even bearing that in mind, how you communicate with those parts of the community that are, let's say, numerically higher than yourself in real life. You have to bear these things in mind at the end of the day. I know we've not given you a lot of advice on doing that today.
Well, I think we've raised awareness.
Not really. No, in fairness, we really didn't define our question as to what we were going to, and it took us until about 10 minutes to get round to actually even asking the question, which we started with in the first place.
Hold on 1 second.
We'll come back to this at another point in time. And
serious drops right now, so give me 1 second.